What's good with it, chat? How y'all doing today? Hope you're having yourselves a good one. As I was saying, hope you're having yourselves a good day, morning, evening, night, dawn. I don't know whatever time it is y'all watching this. Just hope you're having yourselves a good one. And we're back at it with another video. So today we're discussing how it went down when we saw Marvel's Thunderbolts. Went down to see it last night. I know it came out a few days ago. So I feel like most people who were really hyped to see it have already gotten a chance to see it, and so I won't be spoiling anything for anybody, and we can just kind of discuss this openly. So just a heads up, there will be spoilers discussed in this video, so if you haven't seen it, well, either cover your ears real quick or go and watch the movie and then come back to this video and let me know if you agree with some of the thoughts stated in, well, this video, man, some of our opinions. To start off with, let's give overall rating, man. Overall movie rating, it was a pretty solid movie. It wasn't anything like legendary status that I'm gonna remember for ages to come. So I'll give it like a 7, man. I would say a solid 7 is good. Even like as a Marvel movie, it was still a little bit more of a breather. And let me explain why I say that, man. So personally, I feel like the whole anti-hero genre is still a little bit of a breath of fresh air in regards to the whole like superhero, well, genre, you know, within the whole like superhero kind of movie franchise idea, because obviously that was really big up until Endgame, and then it was kind of hard to follow up with the whole superhero idea after that. But I feel like a lot of the anti-hero movies that have come out lately, like the Venom series. I haven't seen the third one. I think it's released. Third one is released. I haven't seen the third one, but I have seen the first two, and I enjoyed the first two as well. So the whole anti-hero idea, I still feel like it's fresh, and it gives you a lot more freedom to play with morality, you know, and it also allows them to use a lot more like kind of darker humor, darker jokes, which personally I enjoy, man. So I feel like it was really good. The movie did that super well. It wasn't like one of those soapy, oh, bad guy turn into like absolute hero type of thing, like let me do a 180 with my life and do this. No, it wasn't that, which I appreciated. It was something a little bit more subtle and a little bit more relatable, of just basically like the main protagonist of the movie being what's her face? Yeah, what was her face called? The main protagonist of the movie. So the protagonist, Black Widow's sister, right? She's just referred to as like Yennefer the entire movie. So it's kind of a main thing about like her losing purpose in her path of life, and choosing to like look for something a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more fulfilling. And I feel like that is like relatable, you know. We're talking about a universe where aliens and multi-dimensions and superpowers are a thing, but then you have these like regular people characters with no real superpowers. I mean, sure, you can say like the second coming of Captain America, the failed captain, has superpowers because of the superhero serum, but it's still not something like crazy, you know, like super crazy. So it's still about like highly trained individuals wanting to kind of do something more meaningful and bring more purpose to their lives, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that touch of more like human. Like sometimes we can just bring ourselves down with our own choices, and then we just kind of want to get back up and want to make better choices. I thought that was really well represented in the movie. I realized that we've been rambling on a little bit and we still haven't even taken a hit, so I'm gonna take this hit real quick and then we'll continue talking about it. So whatever y'all doing, hope you're getting a chance to smoke along with me. Cheers, y'all. Alright, so we discussed the premise of the movie. That was great, right? That was a great premise overall. Another thing that I really enjoyed was how it built up. So the storyline didn't feel forced whatsoever, you know. It wasn't like just mash these characters together and like they just have to deal with it and kind of go along with it. Nah, you actually could tell that it was in light of having this one kind of common objective or common need. They were all basically at the at their lowest sort of thing when they met, right? And in light of being in that same position and wanting to do better of themselves, that's kind of what's propelled the group forward. That was really well presented in the movie, I thought. It wasn't a just mash these characters together and just force them to be in the same place. You could see that it was more like well thought out in the sense of like not only do the characters have to be together for, you know, the purposes of the movie, but it also made sense for them to stick together for their own internal gains. Because at the end of the day, we're discussing about anti-heroes. So as much as they want to be better, they still have their selfish tendencies. So even because of that, those tendencies of selfishness and of wanting better for themselves, that also causes them to ironically need to stick together and need to kind of form this whole team. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting idea, or an interesting way of portraying all of that. The main villain. Now this is kind of trippy because this is like a Marvel movie with a villain that wasn't like the main combat villain. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, there was fighting. It's a superhero movie. They gotta save the city. Yeah, of course you gotta save New York, because you can't have a Marvel movie without New York going to shit. I don't know how many times they've destroyed New York. They destroyed San Francisco a couple times. New York has really taken the most of it in the MCU. What was I saying again? Shit, I kind of got sidetracked with the whole like trashing of with the whole New York destruction topic. 1 second, yo, cheers. Yo, but anyway, so we're talking about like the main villain. The main villain is not the person who they actually get to fight with, because the main villain of this movie ends up being like the head of a corporation trying to create the next superhuman, you know, that can be used to protect the world, or in this case protect the US, because it's always like a national type of thing first, you know. But having that aside, of course we got the typical questionable CEO who decides to compromise everything in anyone just to get the results that she's after. Which it's all good and dandy. What I didn't see coming was for the whole like final kind of battle, or the whole final scene and challenge for the Thunderbolts, or the main team, to overcome. is the depressive side of Sentry, man. I gotta say, I did not think that this was gonna turn into a whole like internal like positive versus depressive side battle or inner struggle type of shit, but that's kind of what it went down, man. And even in the scene, you literally see the scene where Sentry, like the light side of himself, is just poof, 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 like wailing and smashing the face of the dark side of himself. And you can see like that's exactly what the dark side kind of wants, and the dark side starts to take over him and start kind of like basically sort of like the venom suit, but it's only like a shadow, just kind of starts overtaking the light Sentry, who's like a super chill dude, or a chill looking dude at first, you know. It was kind of funny to see how they portray, like, sometimes you're like fighting against the dark side. It was a whole idea about fighting against the dark side is exactly what it wants, and that's letting it take over, type of shit. It got a little bit gooey, I gotta say, towards the end, but it was a cool movie overall. You know, I don't think it was a movie where you go to watch for you know, the fight sequence or the villain that they're gonna face, you know, kind of like with Civil War, for example, or when it came to like Endgame, where it was basically like it was about the battle, you know. In this case, it really wasn't about the battle, and it was more about telling the story of these characters, you know, these 5 characters who wanted like a higher calling and wanted to change and do better with themselves. So overall cool ass movie. really interesting movie. Thunderbolts, man, the name. That was, I gotta say, that was probably one of the funniest shits of the whole movie. They called themselves the Thunderbolts because that was the soccer team of like Jennifer when she was, what was like, she was like 6 or 7 years old. I don't remember what it was. They never won a single game, but they were still the best team. They were still the greatest team, and so they decided to name themselves after that team. I thought that was good, man. I thought that was good. It was super ironic in the sense of like Captain America started rambling about his high school achievements as a quarterback or whatever, and then Jennifer started talking about her Pee-wee soccer team and the Thunderbolts. Another cool aspect of the movie, I would say, was the whole foreshadowing with the end fight, man. Because obviously it wasn't something that, like, I knew it was gonna be important when it first got mentioned. Like when they first meet Sentry and he talks about his like tendencies that he has. He always talks about like his words. He's like, so there's a super high and there's a really low, and then I just space out, and then I just black out. And it was kind of crazy. Like I knew that was gonna be an important line from the movie, but I just didn't know the aspect of it, because at first like you get like an idea, because he literally flies up, like just shoots up in the air and then passes out and like drops down like a freaking missile, causing this huge ass wave all around the desert, destroying a bunch of shit. And I was like, oh shit, so he meant that. I felt like he meant that literally, he literally, like when he loses control, his just powers just take over, and he just like he loses control, flies up in the air, and then passes out, realizes what he's doing, passes out, and comes back down and destroys a bunch of shit. But no, man. The low was when they tried to basically kill him, and then his light side went completely gone, and his dark side took over. So basically his own like depressive self took over his body, and also took over like the powers of Sentry. And that's when he started kind of spreading the darkness all over New York. Since we're discussing the darkness, there's actually a very good question that I would like to raise in this topic, considering recent occurrences over here in Spain and also Portugal, some parts of France. So considering those recent occurrences with the blackout, I wonder which of the people were more freaked out, when it happened, man. If y'all haven't seen it, there's a bunch of memes online about how people out here in Spain and in Portugal overall reacted by going almost 24 hours without electricity, without cell reception or anything. There's a bunch of memes online. I'll be doing a separate video talking about just this topic. We'll be doing that should be coming out shortly. Yeah, so then it really made me think, it's kind of like ironic timing, because the blackout happened on Monday. The Thunderbolts movie came out on Wednesday, so it was like a few days later they show like the whole like Sentry causing an entire blackout over the whole city. And it really made us question over here, like which one realistically, which of the people were more freaked out. Yeah, if y'all curious about that, check out some of the memes on how the Spanish and the Portuguese reacted with being without lights, and we'll be talking about that soon. If you're checking out this video later on, then the blackout video might already be up on the channel. Check it out. And yeah, man, I don't know if there's anything else that I had in mind to discuss about the Thunderbolt movie. I think that was a big thing. Yeah, those are all like the main topics that really caught my attention. But yeah, honestly, it was a cool movie. It was a cool movie. As I said, the genre of anti-hero still gives a lot more like creative freedom, I feel like, than with the typical like superhero stories. You can do a lot more. There's a lot more like dark humor. There's a lot more real life involved, because it's not just somebody who is suffering, but also like has to do good all the time. They're not bound by that ethical code. So I feel like it becomes a lot more realistic, and I highly recommend you guys checking it out. I will say the one thing about it's a Marvel movie, so it requires quite a little bit of previous knowledge I do know quite a bit about Marvel, but damn, it's been so many years that I freaking forget about like who died, who's alive, like who has what now and type of shit, you know, that it becomes hard to follow. So, and I definitely had my girl like explaining me some shit throughout the movie for sure. I definitely needed that, but it's not something that's required. If you have minimal like Marvel knowledge, you can still enjoy the movie. You can probably enjoy the movie if you had no knowledge of Marvel like whatsoever, you know. But to like be completely aware of everything that's going on, oh, it's a tough one, man. There's just so many. If it was just movies, that would be cool, that would be chill. But like they started including a bunch of series along with it, and like the series just takes so much longer to watch everything. That's like fuck. It becomes way harder to track. But let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts on the movie, on the Thunderbolts movie is. I would love to know if you have seen it or if you're still planning on watching it. And how good are you at keeping up with the whole like MCU's like timeline and like web and just web of activity, man? Because I honestly cannot keep up anymore. I've lost track of a bunch of shit that's going on. I'm still watching as many of the movies as I can, but I'm definitely like lost on the things that happen in the TV show. It kind of just like I don't really have the time to watch everything at the moment, so it becomes kind of tough. But let me know how you feel about all that. It's definitely a great cinematic universe they created. They definitely did something crazy. So if you enjoyed this, check out some of the other videos because we got a bunch of stuff on there and more stuff coming soon. I'll check y'all later. Thank you for stopping by. Bye bye now. Take care now.